Hi, I'm Dr. Frances McCormick and I'm the Director of the MA in English at NUI Galway. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about why you should pursue the MA in English, how the programme is structured, and suggest some career paths that might be available to you with such a programme. But before that, let me tell you about our vision for the MA in English at NUI Galway. That vision is of a programme that enriches and deepens your undergraduate learning, drawing on and furthering all of the knowledge and skills that you've already acquired, while reflecting back on them to teach you to think in more profound ways about the construction and reception of knowledge across a range of subject areas related to the discipline. In the MA in English, we're aware of the connectedness of various forms of knowledge, the ways in which thinking across and between disciplinary boundaries can elevate perspectives and enhance engagement, resulting in more robust and well-supported learning, analysis, and insight. We believe in the study of English not only as an end in itself, but also as providing essential tools and strategies for engaging with all forms of discourse, both formally and informally, as we move through the world. We believe in the societal impact of studying the humanities, in the ways in which we engage vicariously with others' experiences, and in doing so, how we become more empathetic and reflective and even ethical as we move through the world. We also know that learning is best driven by enthusiasm and passion, and we've designed our course to ensure that it speaks to your own intellectual interests. And we offer you a range of options that you can choose from to kind of chart your own course through the degree. The MA in English is a flexible program in that there are two paths available to you. You can enroll as a full-time student, during which time, over the course of a year, you'll take 5 optional semester-long modules, each worth 10 credits. 1 core year-long module, also worth 10 credits. I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. And then you'll conduct an independent research project on a topic of your own choosing, worth 30 credits, and culminating in a dissertation of around 15,000 words, usually submitted in August. In the part-time option, you take exactly the same number and kind and weighting of modules, but they're spread across 2 years, with your core module and your dissertation taking place in year 2. Now, that core module that I've described to you is called Writing and Research. And in this module, we work to prepare you for writing the dissertation as you develop your critical thinking and refine your skills in writing, research methods, the use of scholarly resources, and so on, as you think through handling sources, working with arguments, confronting your own biases. Students learn to design, revise, and carry out a credible dissertation plan to manage projects. So that module is designed not only to impart subject-specific, but also transferable skills that are going to serve you well right throughout your career. And aside from this module, you'll also have the option to choose from a wide range of courses, modules across literary periods, genres, modes, locations, geographical locations, across theoretical perspectives, and even across disciplines. So you might study writing and performance, digital production or poetry, history, language, literature of Ireland, literature of North America. So the options are incredibly diverse, and there's something for all ranges of interests. Choosing the MA in English will enable you to deepen your subject-specific skills, building on undergraduate skills acquired through the study of English or a cognate subject, and enhancing your knowledge in that area. This study will impart transferable skills that are going to serve you well throughout the future, both in future employment, but also in life more generally: critical thinking, analytical skills, project management, research skills. It will offer you the chance to pursue your own passion and enthusiasm through the broad suite of modules that we offer. and through the independent research project that you'll conduct, and that's based very much on your own interests. So in short, the MA in English is for students with enthusiasm who want to learn more about this subject that they love. It's for those who are interested in furthering the skills that they've invested in developing throughout their undergraduate career. And it's for those who are genuinely excited by the idea of working in a more multidisciplinary way in texts, cultures, and ideas. As for the possibility of future careers, the MA in English offers you a chance to develop a range of skills that will serve you well in life, in further education, in the job market, from project management to communication, from research skills to handling information. So our graduates are well prepared to succeed in a range of careers, from arts administration, teaching, creative writing, public relations, research, broadcasting, publishing, journalism, marketing, project management, and beyond. And we also have many students who progress to further study at PhD projects, some of whom are currently in receipt of highly competitive funding. So that's all from me. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Frances. Let me just share my screen. And away we go. So just briefly again, my name is Justin Tonra, and I am the course director for the MA in Literature and Publishing. And I'm going to give a short presentation that outlines some basic information about that program. And I'm very, very happy to answer any specific questions that you have about the program afterwards. So this MA program is a long-running, well-established and popular master's degree, which has been running since the 1990s. And caters to student interests in both literature and publishing. So it has a specific professional and vocational element for those who are interested in getting into the publishing industry. There's a very strong emphasis within the program on professionalization and developing a range of professional skills that are essential for employment in the world of publishing. But aside from that professional and vocational element, the course also has a very vested interest in teaching about literature as well. And so you can choose from a range of literary focused modules that will complement your interests in publishing and allow you to take a more academic path, if you so wish, rather than going directly to down a publishing pathway. So here is what we do. A brief sense of what that is. We're Ireland's only postgraduate program dedicated to literature and publishing. It is now true to say that we are the European Union's only postgraduate program dedicated to publishing that is taught through the English language. So we believe our degree to be a highly innovative one. So we allow students, as I mentioned, to extend existing academic interests in literature, perhaps those you have gained throughout your undergraduate degree. It also provides a grounding in literary studies for people who come to the program from a background other than than literature, whether that's English literature, French, German, whatever language. So a literary background is not an essential requirement for taking this course. Indeed, we have a number of students from a range of different backgrounds on this year's program and in previous years, from backgrounds such as communications, journalism, and a host of other educational backgrounds. So literary undergraduate study is not an essential requirement. So we also offer students the opportunity to develop new skills related to publishing in areas such as marketing, promotions, editorial and production work, and the business aspects of contemporary publishing. So the program is flexible. We do not provide a part-time option. It's a full-time study only, so it takes place within one academic year. And similar to the MA in English, you take 60 credits of taught courses and complete a 30-credit dissertation or final portfolio. I'll say a little bit more about the module choices in a moment. But the flexibility of the program manifests in that it seeks not just to prepare students for the varied demands of the professional world, but it also cultivates students' academic skills. So while I think it's fair to say that the majority of graduates go on to work in publishing, there is a proportion of students who take this course who follow an academic track and continue to work in research and academia. So we have a variety of literary, editorial, and practical modules to choose from, and students on the course are encouraged to take an active approach to shaping their course so that it complements your prior work in academia and any work experience that you bring to the program. And having some work experience within the publishing industry is certainly beneficial to applicants, though it's not an essential requirement by any means. So here are some of the publishing focused modules that we offer. First two of these are core modules that you take in the first semester, and sometimes the second module there, publishing perspectives and professionalization, begins in the first semester and runs through to the second. So that module and the module on contemporary publishing are the two core modules that everyone in the class takes, and both are worth 10 credits. Other modules that bear heavily on the publishing and business of publishing include media and marketing communications and copy editing and proofreading. So you can get a sense from these publishing-oriented modules how the course aims to provide students with a range of skills and knowledge required for employment in the publishing world. Other modules then that are available throughout the course include these, and you can see they're grouped into different areas of literary and cultural study. So you'll see a number of courses that are dedicated to the book and book history, things like that. Some are more oriented towards cultural studies, like language, gender, and power, and resisting through culture. Others have a literary basis in a particular time period or country, such as the literature of North America, travel literature, literature and colonialism, and a range of other modules there are available as optional modules for your remaining 40 credits that you take over the course of the 2 semesters. So the majority of these courses are worth 10 credits, but some are worth 5 as well. So some of the unique features of the program, I would say, are ROPES, the Review of Postgraduate English Studies, which is the student-produced annual literary journal that, that students in the MA in Literature and Publishing produce each year, and is now coming up to its 30th anniversary issue. Visiting speakers from the Irish publishing industry come to visit the program in the first and second semesters. And we have excellent relationships with a range of high profile and important individuals and organizations from the Irish publishing world. So speaking with them and meeting them is an excellent way of networking within the publishing industry. When public health guidelines allow, we undertake field trips to publishing organizations, publishing houses and festivals in Ireland. We have a unique connection to the Cuairte International Festival of Literature, which runs every year in Galway in April. We have 2 internship opportunities, paid internship opportunities to work with the festival, which is advertised in the first semester, and the interns spend some time working on the festival in April and in the run-up to that festival. We also have a very successful employment profile of our graduates. We have graduates working in all of the major publishing houses in Ireland and several further afield, as well as graduates who go into a range of other book-related industries. So I've just posted a number of links where you can find out more about this program, and my email address is at the end. A few things I would mention in closing is that applications for this program are open, and they're accepted on a rolling basis until the program is filled. So this is generally a very competitive program to get onto, and I would encourage you to apply as early as possible. Applications open in October, so the earlier that you can apply, the better your chances are. So do keep that in mind. We offer a taught MA scholarship in NUI Galway, which is also worth knowing about. Those of you who are based in Ireland or the European Union and who have been awarded a first-class honours degree for your undergraduate are eligible to apply for a €1,500 reduction in your fees. So you'll find details of that on the postgraduate admissions part of the university website. So I'm happy to answer any other specific questions during the question and answer session, but I will leave my talk there and hand you over to Mike.
Thank you, Justin. Hi, folks. My name is Mike McCormick, and I am the fiction tutor on the MA in Writing, and I'm also the director of the MA in Writing. My involvement in the course goes right back to the very first day it was set up, when it was set up by Professor Adrian Fraser. And when he set it up back in, I think it was around 2003, I think it was one of the very first MA in writing in Ireland. And Adrian had the idea that when he was setting up this MA, that it would have a broad focus. That yes, it would cater to those people who wanted to write poetry and to write fiction, but he also wanted to broaden out the scope of it into people who thought they might want to do some feature writing, or do some playwriting, or even do some scholarly work and that. So as a result, the MA in writing in NUI Galway has more options, than most MA in writing programs. It's a full-time program. Goes from September up to late August, and it's run on a workshop basis. All our classes, it's practice based. People turn up with work every week, week in, week out. There is a culture of continuous writing across all the courses, and there is a culture of assessment at the end of each semester, but also an ongoing. You learn to engage with each other's writing and with each other's projects, and you learn to give criticism and take criticism, and to participate in the workshop ethos that is part of what makes the course, I think an attractive place to be. I like to think of the MA in writing as a hospitable place, as a place for imaginative and passionate people who come and who aren't fully settled in what they want to do, but who are open to doing other things, who are open to writing across different genres, possibly bringing genres together into a single unified script or document or something like that. We think that this MA in Galway is pretty well suited to this moment. Out there at this moment, there are lots of hybrid texts being written and published. So much so that I think a younger generation of writers take that as a given, when in fact it was anything but a given. When we started this 20 years ago, there was very clear demarcation between poetry and fiction and non-fiction and that. But now we have hybrid books like Robin Robertson's The Long Take. Is that a novel? Is it a book of poetry? A book like Jennifer Egan's A Visit from the Goon Squad. Is that a book of short stories? Is it a novel? It seems to be both of those things. We have a book like Grief is the Thing with Feathers. That's long prose sections in that, and then it's crossed with poetry. What is it? Well, we think that the MA in writing in Galway, that it can speak to this experimental ethos that's out there at the moment, and that it can participate in it, and that it can inform it, and that it can be a leader in that kind of thing. I know it can, because I know that one of our students from 8 or 9 years ago will be publishing his second book, his second novel, in March of next year. Danny Denton from Cork, and that is a kind of a pretty radical experiment in form and language, and in theme and that. So I like to think of this place as a hospitable place, and a place for passionate people, where there are ideas and where there's a generous exchange of ideas among people, where there is and all of this is done within. Everyone who asked me about the course, they said, I always say that we have a twofold ethos in the MA in writing, and one is the human ethos of how we get on with each other, and how we kind of speak to each other and of each other, and that we do it respectfully and with manners and courtesy and patience, all those good old-fashioned words and that. So that's what we do in terms of how we relate to each other, how we get on with each other and that. by and large, that has worked really well. Passionate classrooms with lots of debate, all done within the parameters of manners, courtesy, patience, tolerance, that kind of thing. That's the human ethos. The artistic ethos is what I'd like to think of as old school experimental, that our students, our writing students, come out knowing the tradition, having worked the tradition, be it in nonfiction or fiction or poetry, and that they then can go forward and work their own experiments. We are keen on experiment. We are keen on experiment. We like to see students mixing up their genres, working across genres. We encourage them to think that even if they're doing, we encourage them, if they find it helpful, that if they're doing 5 modules and that or 6 modules over the 2 semesters, that we encourage them to think of yourself as working on one book, on one manuscript, rather than on 5 separate ones, if that helps you, and that. So old school experimental, that's what we like to think of ourselves as. Some of the choices that you have are very obvious. You will be doing, you can do poetry in semester 1 and semester 2. You can do fiction in semester 1, semester 2, or you can do nonfiction in semester 1 and semester 2. I think that there is a playwriting workshop that runs across both semesters as well, if you want to do that. And the other mandatory one that we have is a series called, we call it our speaker series, and week after week we get people from the world of books to come in and to tell them about their careers, their progress, their philosophical ideas of what it is to be a writer, what it is to what practical help they have for us, and how they see the world at the moment. And that's a course that runs over 2 semesters. The students have a shaping influence in that. They ask me, can you get X to talk to us? Can you get Y to talk to us? And I'll say, yes, I can bring that person here. I know them and that. As of, I think this week, we have Nicole Flattery coming, and Nicole is coming in her capacity as a brilliant short story writer with an award-winning book of short stories under her belt, but also she's coming as a very able critic and reviewer of contemporary writers. Her work is published in the LRB and the TLS and all sorts of places like that. So our students will get to talk to her about those 2 aspects of her work as a writer, her work as a creative writer and her work as a critic in that. And that's the speaker series, and that runs across the 2 semesters. The big thing is, I like to think that the year is split up into 3 semesters, and the first semester runs up to Christmas, the autumn semester, and that's kind of experimental, slightly giddy, where people are unsettled in what they want to do, and they haven't fully settled into the year either, and settling into Galway and everything like that. So there's all sorts of kind of human and artistic experiments being run there. And in the second semester, we have you will have had your ideas together. You will know your projects, what you're working on. You'll be much more settled in yourself. You'll have gathered your strengths around you, and you will be, so I tend to call that the strength and conditioning, semester. And the third semester, even though no university recognizes a third semester, but what we speak of as the third semester runs through the summer, in which you will devote yourself to the putting together of your portfolio, which will form roughly about 1/3 of your final mark. And that is a portfolio of about 15,000 words, and you will construct it. You will in collaboration with your advisor, probably me, and you will sit down and come up with a plan, and you will go away during the summer and put it together. And that's the third semester. It's the most important semester. It's the semester in which you learn to listen to yourself, trust your instincts, and learn to self-guide and to self-motivate. So that's largely it in broad strokes, folks. As I say, my name is Mike McCormick, and I'm going to put my name into the chat box in a second or so that you can email me during the next couple of months on that. As Justin has said, the application process is opened. It will close only when it's full. I would advise people to, if they're going to apply for the course, to start getting their application together immediately. There is, I don't know how it compares, the application process compares to other MA courses, but we have the two things that are slightly different is that we have to have a sample of your writing, and you can have that sample. It can be in poetry, fiction, or non-fiction, or any amalgam of the three. A short fragment of a novel, a short story, 2 or 3 poems, or you can submit 10 poems, or you can submit 1 long article to us, whichever of those variations you think, whatever you think presents you in your best light in that. And then you also have a 500 word kind of statement of personal interest, telling us why you want to come to Galway, what specifically about Galway and the MA in Galway has drawn you to it, and why you think you would thrive and benefit in what we have to offer at Galway. So that's it, folks. I look forward to your questions, and I will answer whatever questions you put into the box here at the moment. Okay, so I'll hand you back to Francis and Justin. Okay, folks.
Thanks, Mike. So we had one question come through in the chat there, Mike. I think it was for you, and I answered it, but I just want to check that I've answered it correctly. Which month and year does the next course of writing begin? So I said September 2022.
Yeah, September 22. Yeah. It begins in probably the first week of September. Yeah, that's when we throw in the ball. Yeah.
So there's a question here for Justin. When does the MA in Literature and Publishing begin? Follow-up question, is it mandatory to be on campus right from the start? I'm asking just because I am Italian and I need to understand how to juggle everything with my Italian university.
So, like the other MAs, the MA in Literature and Publishing begins around the beginning of September as well. Is it mandatory to be on campus right from the start? Generally, it's assumed that people will be available to be in Galway from the beginning of the course, and being unavailable or absent for the first couple of weeks would very much, I think, have a detrimental effect on your ability to settle into the course. You might miss out on introductory lectures, the first couple of weeks of the course. And this year we are teaching in person, and fingers crossed that will be the case again next September, and that the public health situation will be even better, I hope, than it is now. So yes, I mean, it's a general expectation that people taking the course will be in Galway and ready to attend in person from the beginning.
Great. And another question here for you, Justin. This is from a student who is studying at NUI Galway for their Erasmus year, but English is not their native language. And they're wondering, does this work to my disadvantage when accepting applicants for the Literature and Publishing Masters?
Not at all. But people who are applying from countries where English is not an official language will need to submit some evidence of proficiency in English. So you can find details of what that is, i.e. LTS scores and the like on the webpage that I linked above. But no, once you meet their language requirements, your application is assessed on an equal footing with everybody else. So no disadvantage whatsoever.
Great, thank you. And one more question for you, Justin, which is from the same candidate. Will there be spots open if this candidate applies in January, because when they return home, they want to get their references and so on sorted
out? So if you apply in January, will spots still be open? So the application process is open until the course is filled. Now, I cannot say precisely when that will be, as it varies from year to year. The course applications to the course closed at the end of February last year. So my advice is to try and complete your application as soon as possible, because it's not always possible to predict when it will close.
So there's a question here about the MA in English. For the MA in English, what kind of writing sample is preferred? Also, for the language requirements, I did my undergrad in an English university. Do I still require a test? As to the latter question there, drop me an email and we can talk further about that. But for the writing sample, I prefer a critical essay for the MA in English. So one that shows your ability to analyze a text, for instance. For students whose other subject is cognate to English, but not in English itself, I often recommend a book review or similar, but something that shows good engagement with secondary sources, an original line of argument, a well-structured essay, and so on. As I said, regarding your university degree and whether that will suffice as a language requirement, I'll need to hear more about that. So drop me an email if you could. Thank you. I'll pop my email in the chat again so you don't have to scroll all the way back.
Good point.
I think Mike and Justin are going to do the same. So if there are no further questions, then all that remains is to thank you all for listening to us today. We're very excited to hopefully meet some of you on our programs next year to read your applications, and we wish you all the best for whatever is left of 2021. Thank you so much.